All right, Dehaven, how's it going?
Oh, great, man. I can't complain, man. I can't complain. Nothing but about the weather. That's the only thing I can complain about is the weather.
I know it gets cold and snowy back there during this time.
Yeah. But everything is good. I ain't gonna be able to complain, man.
That's what's up. That's what's up, man. Well, we'll get to know you a little bit better. I think most people probably know you're from Brooklyn, from Marcy, but can you just kind of paint that picture for me of what it was like for you growing up?
Oh man. A little bit different from a bunch of little kids, man. I kind of was in the street really early. In Marcy back then in the early 80s. I was just one of those kids that loved the hustle, loved money, always kept something going, stayed out of trouble, you know what I'm saying? And like I said, from Brooklyn, Marcy Projects, Jay-Z, one of my best friends growing up for 30 years. So yeah, that's a little bit about my background, Traveled, played the game, been through the system, and now just ready to talk about my life story and where it brought me to.
Do you have a favorite memory from when you were a kid?
Yeah, man. Basically, actually, the skating ring, man. I was a skating fanatic back then and shit. And we only had one skating ring in our side of town, the Bed-Stuy, Skate City. So that was just one of my great hobbies of enjoying myself as a kid. Everything else outside of that was like a hustle, man. From, paper route to packing grocery bags to running numbers to cleaning up bars. Like everything else was just like a hustle to me. But one of the best things I liked about that I remember about as a kid was skating and catching bees, man. I was one of the best bee catchers around in the neighborhood. You know what I mean? No matter what, I just had a hobby, man. I used to walk around with a big jar of bees and shit. But that was it, man. That's one of the great things I liked about my childhood that I experienced as a kid.
What was Marcy Projects like back then?
Marcy Projects it's sort of like, survival of the fittest. You get what I'm saying? You got alpha males and then you had the pups, bro. You either one or the other. But I can't say it was that much violence back then. Marcy wasn't that much violence because it was a different parents back then. It was a different generation. So we wasn't exposed to as much violence as we are now. So, back then Marcy was about community. You know what I'm saying? It had its little ins and outs and you knew who the gangsters was, but a lot of us didn't see that because there was a lot of morals and principles in what they did back then. So, Marcy was all right, man, but it was just like, you could still be a kid in there.
Did you have any brothers and sisters?
Yeah, I have one brother, sibling living now, and I had two sisters that passed away from drugs and shit. That's what I talk about in my story too. And we all grew up in Marcy, man. That's it. It's just me and my brother and my mom now. And she's the star of my documentary. But yeah, that's it, man. It's just us now.
Now, Marcy is a big project building. Growing up, at one point, did you and Jay-Z meet or did your families know each other?
Well, my family my moms knew his mother before I got there because I was staying with my grandmother. But once I got there and stuff, she introduced me. She said, yo, my girlfriend has a neighbor and she has a son and two girls, because it ended up all of us, Jay's sisters was best friends with my sisters and my brothers was best friends and my mothers. So we kind of integrated our family, you know what I mean? So not with just his family, because it's a building and a project building, like all our families inside that building is like that, So it wasn't just the Irbies and the Carters, it was this whole building of 24 apartments in there, and every one of them was your family. But since Jay was on our floor, you know what I'm saying, it was easy for me to go out my door, in his door. So we really played like one family. When I got there, I went to school, we was in 4th grade together. And we ain't looked back from there.
So you guys lived in the same building and on the same floor?
Same building, same floor. And it was so ironic, man. It's Bleak too. Memphis Bleak, same building, same floor. Same building, just 2 floors down. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, we integrated a lot, man. It's a lot of it's more than just me and Jay that came from our building that was successful in life and shit. You know what I mean? That, we had a lot of good people in our building that, made it that helped us out. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if you're familiar with Shirt Kings, but the guy Nike, you know what I'm saying, one of the greatest, that put prints on shirts back in the days that done stuff for all of the people in the industry. He from our building. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, we had some, celebrities that came from 534 other than just Jay and Bleak,
What about Jazzo?
Jazzo from the other side of the projects, because Marcy has 2 sides, right? Jazzo from the other side of the projects, as you see Jay say, we don't walk too much. You know what I'm saying? So they was from a different side, but when it came down to music, man, that shit integrated everybody and shit, but Jazzo was the name to know from the other side of the projects, though.
What was school like for you during these times?
I was a sports fanatic, so I never had a problem. I was bored with school. I was always smart to begin with, you know what I'm saying? But what kept me from school, I was just bored with school. Coming up, sports kept me in school. I can't really recall after graduating from public school to junior high, I really can't even recall going back to class after that. I was so good in sports. The coach used to be like, just show up for the game, just show up, just show up. You know what I'm saying? But school was I had it all back then. Once I hit 15, 14 years old, when I got into junior high school, man, I never wanted for nothing in school. I always had the best girls. I always had the best clothes. I always kept money in my pocket. So school for me was just like an easy pass through. And speaking of that, that's what led me to Trenton. We'll talk about how I got to Trenton was through school and my basketball skills. My coach really, really tried to look out for me and set me in the best program that I can, because he seen my life turn into the streets. So he gave me an opportunity to play in Trenton. And when I got to Trenton, man, they had a good program, but I saw even more opportunity in the streets in Trenton than I did in New York. So I just started, not paying attention to the program and shit. I even had a lot of people that went to the NBA and to the league, to colleges from Trenton. I went to school with them, and I was in high school with them. They used to tell me, yo, why don't you just come to the games and play, bro, we can make it. Half of those guys that used to tell me that went on to college, and some went to the pros. But my life, I just chose an easier route. I thought was going to be an easier route,
What was Jay-Z like in school?
He was in a higher grade than me, right? So, you know what I mean? Because I had changed schools, so Jay was a level up a higher grade than me. So we didn't never really hang out in school. This was basically all the way, when we get home from school, we together from the rest of the day. But in school, everybody doing their own thing, man. He was more quiet and kept with a different circle. You know what I mean? We really didn't bond in school like that, man, in school, because he associated with a different crowd than I did, because I didn't know them, because I was coming from another school. And the person I knew, he was real gangster hard, young dude that was teaching me the ropes. You know what I'm saying? So I hung out with them. I hung out with him to avoid getting robbed from gangs. And, he was schooling me because I done seen Jay and them go through a lot of problems going to school, and I wasn't about to have that. I wasn't having that.
Well, what kind of problems were they going through?
Like, for instance, like Marcy is like 2 blocks from the school, from our projects. I mean, the school is 2 blocks up. And during this walk to school, you have to pass these gangs, right? You know what I'm saying? And a lot of school kids from Marcy used to get stopped by the gangs, and they go in their pockets, take their little school money, take their bus passes, and that's the shit that I used to see happen at Jay and them. This was like before I really known them. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, I used to go to school with another guy and shit, but he was just more different. He used to be like, nah, that's not gonna be us. That's not gonna be you. You see, they don't mess with me. You know what I'm saying? For these obvious reasons, because I'm a fight, you know what I'm saying? So he started teaching me, you know what I'm saying, how to be hard and conduct myself and not be no punk type of shit. So I was going to school with him, and it's funny that when they did approach us one time and shit, my boy, he like showed out so much, you know what I'm saying? It was like 3 or 4, it was like 4 of them and just me and him. And my boy like, yo, hold my book bag and shit, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna fight all of you, I'm gonna fight all of y'all and shit. And he like flipped the game on them and shit, you know what I'm saying? Like I was like, instead of them just jumping us, like he flipped the game so hard, like, yo, you know what? Hold my bag, Dehaven. I'm gonna fight you, and you and shit, you know what I'm saying? So it ended up, they all got scared and shit was like, yo, listen, bro, we cool, you cool, we ain't gonna do this. And once I saw that, you know what I'm saying? And once he showed me that, you know, just don't back down, you know what I mean? I never looked back from there. So that was my principles. And when I got to meet Jay and found out he was in my building and he lived in my building, just told him, yo, come to school with me, man, we good. You know what I'm saying? Don't worry about it, they ain't gonna mess with us. They know my cousin and shit, and they already seen my face. From there, I pretty much had a pass to go to school from there.
So you guys were like really young during this time, man. Like what? Like this is like elementary school?
Yeah, elementary, man. Yeah, okay. 5th grade, 4th grade. Yeah.
How much of an age difference is it between you and Jay-Z?
He's September, 6 months. No, December. Yeah, 6 months apart.
Oh, okay. Yeah. You guys are really close in age.
Yeah, we 6 months.
So growing up, we all know you guys both got into hustling pretty early. At what age did you guys start getting involved in, you know, deeper into the streets and everything?
I would say, for me, 13, 14, I would say for me, I always been around it to know what was going on. You know what I'm saying? So when I had an opportunity presented itself to me and I ended up finding some drugs. And like I said, I seen how it works, but I didn't know the true details of it. I knew enough to know how to bag something up and sell it. I seen that much, you know what I'm saying? And when I did that, when I found some drugs and I did that, I created a clientele for myself, you know? So that was my first encounter with my own drugs. And I'm talking about, I ain't know nothing more other than just to, like I said, bag it up and sell it. I'm still giving away more. I ain't use no scale, I use my eyes. You know what I'm saying? To me, bagging up a couple of $100 worth of drugs was good enough for me. You know, not thinking, when we spend this money, where I'm gonna get more? I ain't have none of those thoughts. You know what I'm saying? I'm just like, yo, I found this shit, Jay. Let's get rid of this shit. So, you know, that was my first encounter. And after that, like I said, it created a clientele for me. And when I finally ran out of drugs, and I'm like, yo, I don't know what to do next and shit. And I was going to the store and shit, and one of the guys from the neighborhood that raised me and shit, one of the Spanish guys named Spanish Jose, he pulled me to the side and was like, look, you know what I'm saying? I hear you made a name, you making noise in here. Would I like to, you know, work with him? And once Spanish Jose, man, I never looked back. 35 years from there, bro, I never looked back.
What was it like for you right then during the beginning? Were you just like, you know, hustling out of Marcy, out of your spot?
Nah, I mean, like I said, I already had created a clientele, like that clientele, and then I knew the right people to stop me from getting harmed while I was doing it. So I never had a problem with that. A lot of OGs used to look out for me, safety-wise. And just in the game, I just learned to be learn more and more and more, and become more of a boss of making my own money. You know what I'm saying? Even though I was still doing that, I still kept my paper routes. I still kept I still kept guys packing bags for me. I still ran numbers. Like, I was just always attracted to money. And everything I learned, I kind of like just passed on to Jay, or he was right there with me, you know?
At what point, yeah, that's what was going to be my next question. At what point did Jay-Z come into it? You know, he mentions you in quite a few songs where he's, you know, Dehaven introduced me to the game. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, quite a bit.
Yeah, he came in the part that I found the drugs. When I told you I found my first I found the first drugs that I have that was mine. He been, you know, from there he been with me. I mean, I have found that in the back of a rental car, the drugs and shit. And it was through a girl that I met at one of Jay's. We went to a talent show, you know what I'm saying? And this is on record. Went to a talent show, and Jay did a battle up there and shit, and LL was there, and L was like, yo, you nice, shorty. Like, he gave Jay his flowers then. You know what I'm saying? This is before anything, you know what I'm saying? Really, Jay won that, but they just gave it to a Queens dude anyway. But at that concert, I met some girls and shit back then. And one of the girls, I don't know if her father was like a big time dealer, and she came around and I found a whole bunch of drugs. And I said, yo, Jay, we gonna move this. So that's when he came in. Like, when he came in, I showed him the same thing. We just was spending money, shopping every day, you know what I'm saying? And not thinking about, like I said, I didn't have a clue on where I was gonna get some more, or how else, you know, where it's gonna come from. But, you know, it's just like, it's just another opportunity had opened up when Spanish Jose approached me.
And Jay-Z was rapping at this time already, right from when you met him?
Nah, he was playing with it. He was playing with it back then, you know what I'm saying? You gotta understand, you know, it was really new. But he was playing with it then, you know, shifting words and playing with it, and it really started to come into play right when we started to move the trend. Jay was getting really swift with the pen. Otherwise, you know, all the years prior, I would be in the, you know, I'm the guy that's banging on the tables. I'm the guy that's doing the beatbox. We doing that shit all night. Like, you know, I saw that shit from its rawest forms when he started that, bro. I'm talking about picking up bits and pieces of paper with little scribbles and shit in there and all that shit. Yeah, and it's an honor to be a part of that time right there, to know that. To be there and see that, you know what I'm saying? That's why it's not surprising to me where he at now and the gift that he have now, because I seen it in him way back then.
Was there anybody else around you guys when this was going on?
Nah, actually, you know, we stayed together for a while, just him and I, until, you know what I'm saying, we picked up, you know, my uncle, and then we picked up my other friend and shit, and we became like a team when we started moving out of town. And as that, you know what I mean, we just started getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And it gave him more things to see and more things to talk about. And this, everything that's gonna lead up to this will be the reasonable doubt that's coming.
You mentioned he entered a talent contest.
Yeah.
With LL Cool J was one of the judges?
Yeah.
And he should have won the talent contest.
He should have won. And L said that too, that, you know, you should have won that, but they gave it to somebody else.
That must have been pretty crazy for him right there with LL Cool J. I mean, he was probably like the man. He was the man.
He was the
time,
man
right?
back then. So, you know, I don't know if that gave Jay a lot of inspiration, you know what I'm saying? Or that gave him losing that, gave him more ambition. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, I was just like, yo, I didn't even stay that long for the show. I was out doing something else and shit. Like, when I came back, L was standing in front of us like, yo, you was dope, bro. And I'm like, damn. But that's been like that ever since I known him, man. Anybody I put him up against back then, he would just destroy them.
What were the battles like back then?
Oh man, it was about who had better bars, man. Who made it make sense. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's where Jay had to jump on them. You know what I'm saying? Because he was crafty with the words, and then putting it the way he was putting it together and making it sound. And, you know, he was just crafty with it. Like you could tell when they sell somebody naturally, they got that shit naturally. That's the gift that he had naturally, man.
Did Jay-Z take rap serious at the time, or was it just more like a hobby for him?
Well, that shit was more like a hobby, but, you know what I'm saying, he took it serious. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was like a hobby because that's what he did on his pastime. But when it came up to bat, when it was time to take it serious, if he had to go, you know, shoot somebody down, oh, he's gonna be serious about it. So, you know, that's just how he used to carry it.
I heard that, like, you know, like during that time, you know, like dudes would like go from project building to project building, like battling like the best rappers from every project. Is that something you guys did?
Nah, really, because once that it was a change of era. We left New York. We got to understand, we left New York in 88, 89. I left in 88, came back and got Jay in 89. So it wasn't a lot of street battles in the city for him. You know what I'm saying? But out of town, like I said, Trenton and other places, it was just like, yeah, yo, go battle this nigga, or a nigga don't want to battle. They was just really, I can get a crowd around him just to hear him spit. Like, he ain't even have to be battling nobody. You know what I'm saying? They just like, yo, what you got now? Yo, what you wrote? And he'll be like, yo, check this out. And you know what I'm saying? And he just go from there. The funniest shit is, like, I really seen was when Memphis Bleak came to him. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, you know, Memphis Bleak, yo, I'm ready for you type of shit. And Jay like, you ready for who? Me? You know what I'm saying? that right there I thought was the funniest shit. And I think that's what created a love for Bleak in Jay eyes to me, that moment. You know what I'm saying? To be like, yo, shorty, I just like the fact that he came at me. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's the love that he started with Bleak after I seen that one. That was the funniest shit I seen.
Did they actually battle?
Yeah. Bleak said what he had to say, but, you know, shit, yeah, Bleak said what he had to say, but it had no bearings on. Jay ain't give him too much, but gave him just enough to be like, yeah, I get it. You the man. I'll go back with my pen and keep trying this, but not knowing when you go back with his pen, he's way advanced still. He ain't gonna stop. But yeah, that was dope, man. Yeah, Bleak tried him.
Now, were him and Bleak already good friends at the time, or were they just know each other?
Yeah, we was all from the same building and shit. You know what I mean? We like I said, our families grew up, so it was nothing to see Bleak in the hallway with Pampers. I used to see him in the hallway in Pampers because I was mad cool with Dre, his brother. You know what I'm saying? So it was nothing. Yeah, Bleak was definitely a part of this, man.
Is there anybody famous or that we might know about that you've seen him battle?
That I seen him battle? Nah. I mean, besides Wise Intelligent, that was one of the best ones that I missed, but I set it up. You know what I'm saying? You can go online and see that Wise Intelligent from Trenton. They used to always tell me when we was in Trenton, they used to always tell me about Wise and shit from out north side and the projects, that he was the best, he was the best, he was the best, he was the best. I used to tell him that, yo, I'm gonna go get my brother once I see him. So I had seen him and shit. I said, all right, I'm gonna be right back. And I go across town, get Jay, and I want to say I dropped Jay off in the middle of the projects with them, went and sped off, went and took care of my business. By the time I came back, Jay was already walking off, meeting me on the corner, like, and he jumped in the car and shit, and I'm like, I'm like, you good? He like, yeah. I said, everything all right? He like, yeah. I said, what happened? He just gave me the look like, what you supposed to think happened, yo? And he was like, yo, I ain't really get to hear about it from him, but afterwards I heard from everybody out there like, yo, your brother smoked him. But Wise gave him some, some heat though. You know what I'm saying? So, I think when people hear a different style, because they wasn't used to Jay's style, because Wise was nice. He was part of the Poor Righteous Teachers. He was nice. He's, but it's just the fact that Jay just brought a different style that had everybody mesmerized.
Was he always spitting real fast from the beginning?
Nah. But when he done it, you can understand and you can hear it clear. You get what I'm saying? Like, I noticed the change. I guess it changes with the time or whatever, but he always did it to a point where you can understand it and you can hear it clear. You know what I'm saying? So that's and then I heard it from Jazz prior to that. Jazzo used to do that. You know what I'm saying? So, it was a style that I think Jay caught from him. And then as you know what I'm saying, he put his twist and his voice to it, and that shit sound righteous.
What are you thinking during all this? You know what I'm saying? Like, at this point, hip hop isn't this big, huge business that it is now, and you kind of got your other business that you're doing really good at, but, Jay-Z got this incredible talent, and he's, destroying everybody with battles. Are you thinking there's a future for this, or?
I'm not thinking that it's a future for it, but I'm thinking that this is what's popping now. You know what I'm saying? Financially wise, you're not thinking that it's a future for it because they wasn't getting no money for it. You understand? So my investment was just, this is just what he liked to do. You know what I'm saying? This is the people he liked to hang out with. You know what I'm saying? Because we already had money going into this. So I'm like, they don't have more than what we have, so I don't see a future in it yet. You know what I'm saying? So, my investment was just that's who he was to me, and I like hearing my people, in the studio. But did I think it was any money in the future for that? Nah. Because we used to be around all of those dudes. I used to be around most of those rapper dudes. And I know what I had, they didn't have what I had, so I knew it wasn't money in it back then. You know what I'm saying? The only people that was really I seen that was getting money that we was around was Kane and EPMD and all of those guys that was at the top of their game then. But other than that, man, it wasn't nobody really in the game getting no money for me to be like, I want to put my money to this, because I didn't see it going that far.
You mentioned Big Daddy Kane and EPMD. You guys were around these guys?
Yeah.
You knew him?
Yeah. You got
just from Jay-Z's talent?
Yeah. You got to understand I don't recall how Jay met Kane. I don't know if it was through Jazzo or whoever, or Clark Kent, but it's still, his craft got him that far for him to meet him. And then once he met Kane, it was all about, them two going on tour, and, while they doing that, I'm still doing this. And it's like I said, and I'm still still supporting that. So, like I said, it really wasn't that much money in it, but we was around them people. Prince Marky D, Salt and Pepper, Fresh Gordon, that used to do the beats for all the Fat Boys. I've been around this shit before all this shit was going on.
Damn, man, that's what's up, man. You mentioned him going on tour with Big Daddy Kane.
Yeah.
Was that like his first big experience in hip hop?
Nah, I think going out to London with jazz was bigger than anything he ever imagined for himself at that time. You know what I mean? That tour shit, he was already groomed. You know, he was going through a grooming process when Kane took him out on tour.
And you mentioned you moved to Trenton at one point. What age did you move to Trenton?
Well, like I said, it was my basketball coach. My basketball coach, he sorted out the best basketball program for me and wanted me to get out of the city. Because like I said, he saw me turning up a different way. And he wanted me out the city, so he found that in Trenton. And I had family in Trenton, so which made it easier for me to do. But when I got to Trenton, so that shit turned me up, you know. Now I'm around a whole bunch of different kind of hustlers now.
How far is Trenton away from Marcy?
2 hours, about 2 hours.
Oh, okay. So you moved far away.
Yeah.
Okay.
Close to Philly, actually. Last stop before you get to Philadelphia.
Okay, and how long were you there again? I'm sorry, I think you mentioned that.
I stayed in Trenton from 88 to pretty much 90. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And from Trenton, I moved to Maryland.
Did you guys still stay in contact and everything through that?
When we was in Trenton?
Yeah.
Yeah, we lived together. Yeah.
He moved to Trenton with you?
Yeah, I came back and got him. You know what I'm saying? When I set up everything in Trenton, man, I just came back and got him, bro. Like, I'm going to get my man and shit. Like, everybody in Trenton was pretty much waiting on him before he got there because I used to talk about him so much. So when he got there, shit was already laced up for him. You know, and then we end up, my aunt loved him to death. Like, you know, he was her son too. Next you know, man, we living in Trenton.
Okay, and I mean, what was it like out there versus out there over there in Marcy?
Trenton was different because Trenton is like, it's a little city, like, they don't respect you if you not getting no money. You understand what I'm saying? Like, that's how Trenton was to me. Like, this is how I seen it. Like, everybody getting money. If you not getting money, you a lame or you working. And I'll never forget, one of the biggest dudes down there was teaching, just took me under his wing and was like, I'm gonna show you some next level to this shit. You know what I'm saying? Because I was just basically on the street corner doing my ones and twos out there. But older G just took advantage, just took me and was like, took me under his wing, was like, I'm gonna show you some shit. He started bringing me up back to New York, but I was going up back in Washington Heights, really seeing Colombians. It wasn't about no more bullshit buying capsules on the street. You know what I'm saying? This is like what you see in the movies, you know, it's Colombians behind the door, ain't nothing in there but a fucking scale, coke, and guns. And here I am, I'm 17 like this, like, oh shit, you know what I mean? This is what it is. He taught me how to buy my shit uncut, raw, how to cook up. Like, once OG taught me that from Trenton, man, it just elevated to another level.
And you guys were both going to high school at this time?
Yeah, we both had left high school, man. Like, Jay got to a point, like, it's not even worth going back to New York, going to school, because mind you, when he was in high school, he went to school with Busta and Biggie and all of them. They was all in the same high school, you get what I'm saying? So, you know, but we was in Trenton getting money, you know what I'm saying? So Jay just, after a while, he was just like, yo, you know what I'm saying? Our families trusted us. You know what I'm saying? They trusted us with the choices that we made. Like, you know, yo, y'all 17, taking care, big responsibility, so it ain't nothing they can tell us about going to school anymore. We coming home, we putting food on the table, we taking care of mom. That's what we thinking, that's what the whole thing was for. This is what we done this for, to take care of our families. So we turning up in Trenton. Forget school.
You mentioned him going to school with Biggie and Busta. Were you around during any of that?
Yeah, I used to go up there and get them. I used to go up there and hang out. You know what I'm saying? I was there. I used to be in the lunchroom with them and the shit. Been watching them battle sometimes and shit. You know, all that shit is classic. That's why a lot of people didn't know that.
So Biggie, Busta, and Jay, they used to hang out in high school?
They ain't hang out, but they all was in the same school. They would be in the same lunchroom. They would be rapping and shit like that. But they wasn't hang out buddies, but they know who each other was. So fast forwarding it, they wasn't, strangers to each other when they met in the industry. You feel me?
It feels like they would have been like, like the main, guys in high school that were rapping, like the most talented. They would have all stuck out.
Yeah, I mean, it's just ironic how they all became successful from different routes. You know?
Yeah. Okay, well, so you guys are in Trenton. Do you have any like wild stories from this time, being out there, or, from Marcy or anything you could share with us?
Man, I got plenty of stories. One is not bigger than the other. They all like wild stories. I just had a great time when I was hustling when I was hustling. I had a great time. I seen it all. I done it all. And I seen where I'm at now is not to glorify none of that shit. You know what I'm saying? Because this is why I'm here doing these interviews, to talk about really the impact that all of that shit do. Like, we can sit and talk about the flyest chains and all the cars that I bought and the millions of dollars that I went through, but people never seem to get the story of what that shit cost me. You know what I'm saying? My friendships with one of my best friends, you know what I'm saying? It cost me that. It cost me losing family. People went to jail. People died. Like, none of that shit is seen when we glorifying all this. You know what I'm saying? So this is why I do what I do with these interviews. I don't want people to be like, yo, that shit is hard, but I want you to learn from everything I'm telling you. Yo, the stories of having those cars is not really too many cars I didn't have. When Jay tell you we've been spending money since '88, you know what I'm saying? All this is true story. You know what I'm saying? And this is why I say Reasonable Doubt, one of the best albums, was one of the best albums that changed the culture for the hustling game. You know what I'm saying? It's about my life. That's what's so unique. You know what I'm saying? But it's a downside to that shit. And that's why, I like to do this and talk about that too, both sides. You know what I'm saying? People be like, yo, well, when the last time I talked to him or seen him? You know what I'm saying? I ain't seen him since '98. You know what I'm saying? We've been going through these situations for a while, you know what I'm saying, on record. I don't know how much detail you know. Like I said, I think you have a younger generation of followers. So this goes back 30 years with our history. You know what I'm saying? It goes back 25 years just on record. We haven't stopped talking to each other in over 25 years. You know what I'm saying? From Reasonable Doubt, Black Album, so many albums he been talking that people don't know that this has been a conversation. You know what I'm saying? And then this last thing on Drake album that he just done. Yeah, but that's just like the end, but it's so many, it's so many different other records and albums, man, that over the years that people just been thinking, from my side, they only hearing one side of the story, so people be like, yo, this guy's still telling this story, this guy's still talking, but they never know that I ain't been talking to myself, he been talking to me on record, so people don't know that. So I kind of break that down when I do my screenings and shit and let them know record for record that he's been talking to me. We could date it all the way back from 444. Prior to the Marcy Mays series page, I had a page called Dehaven 444 from the album he made 444, where people thought that, yo, he's never going to respond, he don't talk to you, and Bang, he gave me like 4 or 5 songs on 444 directed to me. You know what I'm saying?
Damn.
That created 40, 50, 50,000 followers. I ended up losing them. And then here I am with the Marcy Mays series. You know, I figure, you know, everybody can see that I'm not talking to myself with this.
So you guys are in Trenton for a couple years, and at what point do you guys decide to move again from there?
Trenton was falling apart for me. And I'm always looking for opportunity, and it's something about me and my intuition, and that's been with me since I was a little kid. Like, when I get an intuition about something, I kind of like react on it. And I had an intuition about Trenton, like, you know, I didn't see me, I saw me either dying or going to jail. So I'm looking for other opportunity. So I end up taking a weekend trip in Maryland and, you know, scanning out a whole new territory for myself. And somebody gave me an open door, so I moved from Trenton to Maryland. And stayed in Maryland for about a year before I came back and got Jay there. Came back and got Jay in Trenton. So that was my next move to Maryland.
So Jay-Z stayed in Trenton, and you moved to Maryland.
Yeah.
Okay. How much were you guys making? A lot of money at this time? Like, when did the real money start to come in?
We was making pretty good money in Trenton. You know what I'm saying? Trenton was good, but that move from me moving to Maryland was a big jump, like a huge jump to we have no longer business to even stay in Trenton no more. You get what I'm saying? You know, the work that I used to leave, if I split the work up and leave half with Jay and go to Maryland with the other half, like I would literally be back in Trenton the next day, finish what I had. So it was no purpose for me to be in Trenton anymore. And the money from there, once we hit Maryland, like we talking about, you know, millions. Millions of fucking dollars, yo. Millions of dollars we made, millions of dollars that I made for people. It just turned all the way up to another level. And that's what woke up the government, pretty much. That kind of paper we was getting. But that's what comes along with the game.
I seen somewhere that during all this, you got shot.
No, it wasn't during the process of hustling, yeah, I did. This was Trenton days. We was actually staying in Trenton when I got shot, though. Another story on Reasonable Doubt, where he talk about it on Reasonable Doubt too. Just where I just saved his life, man. Like, it wasn't no brainer. It wasn't no choice that I had. It was one of them unfortunate situations where dirty business, my connections set me up to rob me. And
Can you take me through it?
it's funny because the week before that happened, I just finished taking a huge loss. You know what I'm saying? The week before this happened, I took a huge loss, getting knocked off with a bunch of drugs and shit. So I'm already out on bail. So here we are a week later, I tell my connect, listen, this is what happened. I'm gonna spend a couple of more dollars this time, you know, I'm gonna need a list to get back on my feet. You know, so I usually don't have Jay with me when I go cop. It's just for some reason we was in New York together and like, all right, come on. And he had on all the jewelry too. He had on a lot of jewelry too. And it's just shit that you don't normally do, and when you do it, you're gonna pay the price for that. And I wouldn't have normally had him go with me under those circumstances with that on. But I'm like, yo, my connect is good, whatever. And I get there, we do business, and once we walk out the door from the connect, and that shit slam, like, from the moment it slammed, I felt something. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, that was unusual. When we got outside, it was like two guys waiting on us already. I already had peeped it through the door. And I'm like, Jay, just get ready for this shit, man. When I stepped out, he already had the gun drawn. And he like, yo, you know what it is? And I see how, Jay got on this jury, and I'm like, it's two things going through my mind. No, actually three things. One, I can't let nothing happen to Jay. His mother never forgive me. Two, I can't let nothing happen to Jay because my mother never gonna forgive me. And three, they ain't getting these drugs that I just copped. You understand what I'm saying? That's the three things that are going through my mind. Because, like I said, Jay was always under my care. And that was one of the things his mother expressed to me. Make sure my son is all right at all the time. And I told her he always gonna be good. And then another thing, my mom would have been just like, nah, she would have never forgave me for letting something happen. So I pushed Jay out the way. When I pushed Jay out the way, they grabbed me and dude stuck the gun. A lot of people think he ain't just shoot me from a distance. He put the gun in my back and shot me, which gave me the opportunities, because he's that close, to turn around, and now we tussling for the gun and shit. Jay ran, and me and dude tussling. I'm fighting with a bullet in me and all. Me and dude, we fighting for real for this gun. But I'm losing wind fast and shit. And then I hear him calling his boy like, yo, come back and help. So I just took a chance on letting it go and just run and shit. And I let it go and ran and shit. I got about 2 blocks, next got caught up with Jay and shit. And Jay was like, yo, you good? And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, but my back hurt and shit. And I reached in the back and I put my finger right in the hole. I was like, yo, he shot me. And then once I realized that, I kind of was collapsing. And I'm like, yo, let's jump in the cab and go to the hospital. I jump in the cab, go to the hospital and shit. And we get ready to go to the hospital. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. And I zip my pants down. I pull out. I said, like Tony Montana said, yo, get the yayo. I said, yo, here, don't forget the yayo. You can't go in the hospital with me, bro. I gave him everything, told him to jump in the cab, go home and shit, man. And I went in the hospital and shit. When I got to the hospital, the bullet was hanging out my chest and shit, you know what I'm saying? The doctor was like, yo, bro, you lucky, you lucky. And Jay put that shit on record, bro. I guess, he it meant something. It's part of our history.
How long were you in the hospital?
I think I stayed in the hospital, man, about 2 weeks. You know what I mean? 2 or 3 weeks, because when my lungs kept collapsing. The bullet went through my liver, my bladder, my spleen. So yeah, I think I stayed about 3 weeks.
Man, well, you get out of the hospital.
Right.
And what do you do with yourself at this point? Are you like thinking like, man, I need to slow down, or do you just get right back to hustling?
No, while I'm recuperating, Jay is getting that money up. Like, he taking it to another level, because I'll never forget when I got back ready, right, and healthy again and shit, and looked at the numbers, it was surprising, you know what I'm saying? I was happy and proud about my little brother can handle shit. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, things was the same, bro. It was all the way up then.
How long did it take you to fully recover?
I don't know, a month. They don't give us long in the hospital with gunshots. They swift with that shit up here. You know what I mean? It ain't take long, month, 2 months, I was back up again, running.
Doing my research and everything, going through everything, I seen that Jay-Z was robbed a couple times.
Oh yeah, so they outside on the benches in the projects and shit. I'm upstairs. Like I said, I believe Jazzo, Tata, all of them was there and shit. They come knock on the door and tell me about Jay getting robbed. And I'm like, what? Well, from who? Who would do this? Who would come in the projects and do that? You know what I'm saying? Unless it's somebody in the projects. But come to find out, it was a bunch of guys from some of the projects that I grew up with, because that's where I used to live before I went to Marcy. So I'm like, I'll go get your shit back. So I go up there, you know, we all go back up there, and when we get in there, we get in Tompkins projects, we get surrounded and shit. A group of guys surround us, and everybody got guns but us. So one of the guys come out and be like, yo, who you looking for? I'm like, yo, let me talk to him, because I knew one of the faces said, yo, let me talk to him. So my homeboy come over that I grew up with, that I think everything is all right. So first thing he says, yo, why they here? You know, Jazz and Tata, and I'm like, they just came up here with me and shit. Man, tell them to go back. So I send them, yo, y'all go back and shit. You know what I'm saying? They turn around, Jay and them turn around, I'm the only one there. And now I'm surrounded by them. You get what I'm saying? And they all got guns. And I'm looking at one or two of them like, yo, bro, we was in third grade together, bro. We in second grade together. Like, what the fuck? We rode bikes. We played ball together. What's going on here? And he was like, yo, that's the only reason why you alive. It's the only reason why you gonna be able to walk out of here alive, bro. And I'm like, damn, you know what I'm saying? This is what this shit result to and shit, you know? So I turn around with nothing. You know what I mean? I turn around with nothing and leave and shit. And it was like, you know, some things you're gonna have to take as an L. You know what I mean? I could have went back to Marcy and got a whole different crowd. I got a whole different circle of people, but that shit would have done nothing but brought harm. That shit would have brought, you know, nothing but violence. And I never was about that violent shit, so I chalked that one up, you know what I'm saying, as far as that. But that just go to show some things that you think it is, it really ain't. And you can get yourself into some shit that you don't really want to. So, you know, you just have to take an L on it. And that was one incident. And the next incident, I got into a shootout the last time he got robbed. It was dude from inside the projects, you know what I'm saying, you know, caught Jay in the building slipping and shit, you know, get robbed again, and then I run outside and looking for the dude, and I get into a shootout with him and almost go to jail. Like, you know, I was there for him, you know what I mean? It's quite a few things that happened that I put my life on the line for him, and it was some things that I wouldn't have liked him to be involved in, you know? So it's been a lot of things, bro. But those are definitely some of the things I remember early on with them guns to my head. You know?
Yeah, man, sounds wild, man. You know, sounds like quite an experience. And you know, going through all this, was there ever any times where, like, you know, I know you ended up, you know, getting indicted, you know, later on, but was there ever any times where it was like close calls with the cops or anything, like maybe pulling you guys over and letting you go or anything like that?
Well, you know, the cops are always going to play their position. As far as close calls, man, I moved differently. I was moving differently. You know what I'm saying? Like, I moved with respect. I moved like a boss. Like, this is why I was under the radar from the government. I always had respect for the police. I wasn't one of those dudes that, I'll be in the trenches, but you're not gonna see me. You know what I'm saying? If a police saw me and he passed the block, but he came back around the block, I'm not on that block. So I had a mutual respect. I had a respect for the police on what the things they had to do, because that's their job. And I want to say in a story I wrote before about, you know, even the police idolize us. It's times that I've been stopped where they just wanted to see my jury, or they just wanted to check out my car and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, this is a Lexus, or damn, is that chain real? And then before they let me go, they'll be like, yo, make sure you tell your boy straighten out his license and shit like that. So, you know, it was cops that looked out for me sometimes, you know what I'm saying? It was cops that saved me from getting raided. You know what I mean? Just because I had respect for them. So it was nothing that they pulled me over 3 a.m. and say, look, you stay out projects, right? With the girl, Michelle, and she got 2 kids, they'll know all of that. And they'll say, yo, we just telling you, before you find your door off the hinges 3 a.m, why don't you get out of there? 24 hours later, I'm gone, man. You know what I'm saying? So it was a kind of, I had respect for them, they had respect for me. They knew who I was, but like I said, they wasn't on a level of catching me. So that's pretty much how the government got involved.
At one point, you end up catching a case. How many different cases did you have from hustling?
Wow. When I told you about the gut feeling in Trenton, I had a few cases in Trenton that I had a banging ass lawyer though. You know what I'm saying? I had a few cases in Trenton, but they was adding up, and once they start to add up, it creates a meatball, and then you're gonna have to do some time. I got fed up with Trenton, whereas one day I just was walking to the store and the police jumped out on me, put the cuffs on me, and I get downtown and they pull out a bag of drugs. That was like the last stopping point for me with Trenton, knowing like, nah, I can't fuck with Trenton, they corrupt. You know what I'm saying? So I ended up moving to Maryland, but the charges, I still had mad charges in Trenton. When I got down to wanting to address those charges, I want to say they was offering me like 7 years. I was like, yo, I can't do that. I'm not going to be able to do it. Like I said, so my lawyer, he kept draining me for more and more money. I got that 7 down to 4 years with 2 years stipulation. Then I paid more money. I got that shit down to a county bid. You know what I'm saying? That shit, he drained me down to a county bid. And I had to do a year up at the workhouse, Trenton State Workhouse. And I want to say that was one of the best resort joints I ever did time in. like that shit was like a resort for me, because nothing had changed. Like I was still living like I was on the street. Only difference was I wasn't getting no pussy in there. But I had everything else and shit. Jay and my other home, Jay, my Uncle Buzz in Panama is who I left on the street when I went to do time. And when I went to do that, Jay and them used to send me, they used to send me an ounce or 2 of weed every now and then. I don't know if you know, an ounce or 2 in jail of weed is a nice amount. You know what I'm saying? Back then in I went to jail in 92, 91. So, sending me an ounce or 2 of weed would hold me down, right? Man, I ended up figuring out a system where them niggas was sending me a half a pound at a time. I'm getting a half a pound or a pound, whatever the fuck I want in there. So now I'm running the joint, yo. I'm talking about, I'm running the joint. I got a job in the medical department where I could run around the building and and distribute and pick up and all of this. Like that shit was like a country resort for me and shit. That shit was set up nice. So that was one of my bids. Give or take, out of a lifetime, they got about a good 10 years out of me. Of in and out, in and out, in and out. You know what I'm saying? My longest stretch was 5 years. And I would say I got away with a lot more than I should have been doing time with. That's why I'm fortunate and lucky to be here even talking.
Now, with you catching these cases and, going in and out and everything, is there any point where Jay has any problem with the law?
Nah. He, damn, let me think of any time he ever had a problem with the law. Jay never have no situations with the law. None. Like, I can't recall him. I never had to go and bail him out. I can't compel, and I don't never had to bail him out. Never, You know, that he just been fortunate when it came to that. You know, while he was around me. You understand what I'm saying? While he was around me, he just was fortunate that this never occurred to him. You know, he was never out there as much as I was. He was never all the way out there as much as I was.
Okay, so you kind of you had a bigger bullseye on you.
Yeah.
Okay, so you get out of jail now. This after doing a year in county, do you go straight back to the streets, or do you kind of like try to go straight for a while?
I tell you this, right? When I came out that time, when I came home in 91, out of that, like I said, I was living good in there, but before I left, everything was unorganized. Everything was unorganized. I mean, far as my relationship with the chicks I was dealing with, far as my relationship with my homeboys I was dealing with, I had left it way unorganized. But when I came out in 91, I was a different beast. Like, I came out with a plan, a blueprint, and that blueprint was about making everybody that I dealt with prior, that I trusted, it was about making them rich so I could get rich. So I had a plan to come home. This is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go talk to Cam. Cam gonna get 9 of them things from me. I'm gonna take that money from Cam. I'm going to New York. I'm gonna cop 12 now. I'm gonna cop more than this, and then I'm gonna take that to Baines over here. He's gonna buy. Like, I kept flipping it all till I got everybody money up that I was dealing with. You understand? So now I got 10 guys that I done got them up, all the way up, and I got their trust. Now I made them money, I got their trust. Now that I got their trust, I'm gonna get their money too, on top of it. So while I'm going to New York and I'm paying 27 for a brick, and I'm selling it, and I'm paying 17 for a brick and selling it to them for 27, right? So now I say, yo, Cam, I'm gonna give it to you for 22. Give me the money up front. So now Cam like, what? I'm buying 2. Baines like, I'm buying 2. I'm giving everybody those offers. So now when I go up top and see my peoples, I got $250,000 easy. I got $250,000. I got enough money up top now where they say, yo, you no longer want it to come up here on Broadway no more. We coming to Marcy. We'll come pick that up. In Marcy, we come drop that off anywhere. I felt like Tony. You know what I'm saying? Like, this real life shit, but I'm making all my people's bosses and shit rich. You know what I'm saying? So that was my plan when I came home. I'm telling you, a year later, bro, I probably had $1 million to the side myself. A year later. Just a year doing that, bro. And, you know, so when the government tell you that, yo, he was supplying 85% of the cocaine that was coming on the Eastern Shore, you know, they had a pretty good idea. So that's what kind of numbers we talking about and what kind of plan I had. You know what I'm saying? And it's funny that when that all ended and shit, I just quit. I got all my money and quit. And everybody I made rich, if I made 10 people rich, 7 out of them 10 was in court testifying against me then, telling on me.
Damn.
So those are the downsides to the game.
Yeah, definitely. That's definitely a downside. How long was this going on for before you caught your next case?
My next case came in 98, which was the Fed case.
Okay.
98, the Fed case, the Feds came and picked me up. I was living in North Carolina by then. You know what I mean? I wasn't hustling, and I was I had gave up the game. You know what I'm saying? I had quit in 95 and they came and got me in 98. 3 years later. Let me say it to you again so you get it. Like, quit, no drugs, I put the shit down, call a connect, I'm not fucking around no more, packed my shit, moved to North Carolina. 3 years later, they came and got me.
Okay.
And
what made you quit?
That gut, that intuition again. I had got locked up again for a parole violation. I owed them 2 months, 3 months left type of shit. And so I had to just do it, just do it and get it over with. And when I came home off of them 3 months, shit was out of control. When I say shit was out of control, them 10 dudes that I had in prison, it's 10 more and 10 more. It's just, everything was out of control. Everybody had coke. It was like some fucking Wild Wild West. There was no order. And that's what scared me. And then, one night, I'm just chilling and shit. I'm sitting in my room. I used to count money at night and shit when the house is quiet. And one night, my shorty come in the room, and she like, damn, I ain't know you had this we sitting on this kind of money. Like, why are you even doing this shit? She convinced me that night to quit. That night, she's like, yo, we got enough. We got businesses, we got cribs, we got houses. What more we need? What's the ending goal? And then I had thought about shit was so out of order. I was like, yo, all right, I quit. Where you want to go? We moving to North Carolina. And like I said, by me having that feeling and me quit saved my whole life. That's how I beat my case.
What was Jay-Z's thoughts when you told him you were quitting the game?
He was in another area. He was really kind of into the music, really deep into the music. And we had already had a minor falling out. So it wasn't like it was publicized. I'm just living in North Carolina now, and he doing what he doing.
Do you remember at what point did he meet Dame Dash?
I don't know what year. It had to be 94, 95 that Dame Dash came in the picture, and he introduced me to Dame, like, this guy can help my career. He's a good dude, you know what I'm saying? And me, yo, whatever's gonna help you, I'm with it. Whoever's gonna help you, I'm with him, you know what I'm saying? So that's how I met Dame.
Okay, what was Dame like back then?
Like a Harlem dude, that's how just like a Harlem dude. About his business, he was strictly about his business. And then we ended up with a relationship. Me and Dame just ended up in our own relationship on the side of what me and Jay friendship was, where Dame asked me for help to build this company. Yo, could you help me, build this company, this Rockefeller shit? It's gonna be a big look, and I could use your help, you and your team. I'm like I said, I'm a team player. I got you. And I took them there. You know what I'm saying? I want to say months later, I'm sitting in Dame Dash house, and here come the out. He go downstairs and come up with the out with reasonable doubt and Rockefeller, like, we good. You know what I'm saying? So I know I have a relationship with Dame outside of Jay. Yeah, and then just for us to have a fallout later on. Me and Dame fell out later on behind, a money situation, a money for a show situation, and it left me dumbfounded because I'm like, yo, Dame, I'm the one that helped you do this. How the fuck we having an argument about this? You know what I'm saying? And we pretty much never spoke after that again.
I believe you said you moved to North Carolina in 95?
Yeah.
So Reasonable Doubt comes out in 96.
Yeah.
Right? So are you back in New York working with him, or?
Nah, I'm fucking celebrating the streets. I'm living Reasonable Doubt is out. That's my life. So I'm in the streets and fucking like, yo, this is it. I'm getting shout outs, and that's where the Dehaven introduced me to the game, and I'm living that shit on the streets, and my numbers are up. You feel me? So that's what we doing. That's where my energy was. I wasn't with them, but I was down south or in DC somewhere celebrating that, because everybody knew that I was attached to that.
You mentioned you and Jay-Z had a minor falling out.
Yeah. Well,
can you talk about that a little bit?
Well, a minor. Well, it was pretty major because, like I said, his response was on Drake album, whatever. Like I told you, I went back to jail for a parole violation, right? And didn't leave anyone in charge of what I left, right? And Jay kind of took it upon himself to make some choices that all he had to do was ask. But because he didn't ask, outside people saw the bad choices that Jay was going to make and made a reaction to him. I'm trying to put it in a better example so you can understand. Like I said, I left things unorganized. I didn't leave anyone in charge. And just so-called happened, somebody from my side of the team saw Jay with his hand in the cookie jar. So they only naturally going to react. And that caused the problem with Jay and my other team here. You know what I'm saying? Even though we all come from the same set, it's still a problem now because my team feel like Jay is stealing from me. You get what I'm saying? I'm not around, so they feel like, yo, he shouldn't be here, so unless he's stealing from me. So they have an altercation, which when I come home, I'm like, well, how this, what's going on, and I mediate that shit, and I think to this point, that's Jay just never forgave, because I still deal with them. Jay just feels like, that he don't think that's right.
So this was like the beginning of you guys falling out, but you guys still kind of were cool after that, right? You know what I'm saying? You still helped him with Rockefeller, and I believe you started doing some promoting and everything for him, right?
Yeah, it never got back the same because that case, the case came about. Once that federal case came about, and I needed their help, that's where it all went wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like, no one was there to help me.
So take me through it. Take me through the indictment, if you can.
The indictment.
This is 3 years after you've quit hustling.
Right. So I'm down south 3 years, and I go to court to pay for a traffic ticket. And when I go pay for this traffic ticket, the feds jump out the back room and, they tell me who they are and let me know what it's about. And I'm looking at them like, how you got an indictment for me? And you got an indictment for me, and I ain't been in Maryland in 3 years. You know what I'm saying? They like, well, that's for you to go up and handle. So now I'm in Maryland fighting a federal case, and I just reached out to these guys for help.
Yeah, and you're arrested, right? You're in jail?
Yeah. So I reach out to, them for help. And Jay says, yo, don't worry, you know what I'm saying? I'll be there, I'll help you.
So you get a hold of Jay-Z at this time?
The only time I got a hold of him was the one time that I told him that when I was locked up, when they first came and got me, I made a call to him. It was like, this is where I'm at. So there's a protocol for this shit. There's nothing new. You get what I'm saying? I don't give a fuck about any petty bullshit we've been going through. this right here, everything drops and stops, and we need to handle this. This is just how you're supposed to handle shit when it's dealing on this level. But I called him from in there, and he said, yo, don't worry, I'll be there. I got you. Okay, cool. Fast forwarding it right now, I ain't seen him since. I ain't seen him yet at all.
So at this point, Jay-Z is a big star.
Yeah.
You know, like, I don't know how many, he got at least 2 albums out now.
Yeah.
And at least 2, maybe 3, I don't know, depending on the timeline.
Right.
And now you're picked up on these charges. You call him, and he says he's going to be there, and you never hear from him again.
He said he's going to be there. Just chill, just hold on. So I'm sitting in there. I go to the first bail hearing. They deny me. I go to a second bail hearing. They deny me. I go to a third bail hearing, and the judge is steady asking the district attorney, yo, you know, why are we holding him here if we need more evidence for him? And the state's attorney only saying, yo, we only got corroborating witnesses. They don't have no other evidence but people telling. So the judge just like, okay, I deny, that's the third bail that they denied. So they deny that one. And I'm still see no J. You know what I'm saying? There's still no J. Not even no contact to be like asking me what's going on or whatever. And I'm not just putting this with J. I say, tell you what, there's no J, there's no Dame Dash, there's no Tata, there's no Emery. These are all the people that I looked out for. You understand what I'm saying? So I don't want to just place it on Jay, but I want to place it on people that I put in opportunity and gave them an opportunity to be successful. So these are the people I'm calling about. So nobody's coming. So I say to myself, you know what? I'm praying and relying on the wrong person. I'm going to say that again. I'm praying and relying on the wrong person. So I kind of shift my shit to just like having a conversation with God. I'm praying for real. I'm having a conversation with God. And after I had that conversation with God in my cell, that next bail hearing, I'm out of here. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Which the light went off in my head to where, you know what I'm saying? Like, who are you praying to? Who you think really can help you type of shit. Like, I don't give a fuck how much money someone got, they not God. This is what I'm noticing, like, yo, this is you praying to this dude like he can. So now I'm getting a lot more knowledge. I get out on bail. And now this is a perfect opportunity for me to start working on my case itself. I'm doing my own shit. And meanwhile, while I'm out on bail, I hear Jay got a show right near me in Greensboro. This is why I'm out on bail and home monitor. You know what I'm saying? I call up my federal officer and say, look, I got to go to Greensboro. I need to do this and run into do this. They grant me permission to go. I head down there and see Jay. This is the first time I see him since he told me on the phone. I get up on him. That footage is on MTV. If you can look at the footage and you see me and Jay on stage talking, that's the very night. You know what I'm saying? And I get up close and in his face and like, yo, what's up? And he really, really looked me in my eyes and like, yo, don't worry about it, man. Please, give me your number. I got it. I'm going to call your mom. I'll help you, woo, woo. I mean, he gave me that. Like, I never believed he looked me in my eyes and like, yo, I got you. Don't worry about it type of shit. And here I am in fucking trial with a court-appointed lawyer fighting for my life, and I still ain't see this nigga, yo. Like, You know what I'm saying? Like, all right, yo, so fuck it. I'm all in, bro. My lawyer asking me, yo, listen, if I could get you 20 years, man, would you take it? You know what I'm saying? I'm looking at my lawyer like, what? He like, yo, there's no offer on the table for you. You know what I'm saying? Your co-defendant, which is Emory, Jay right-hand man, your co-defendant took his and ran already.
So Emory got indicted on your same case, right?
Yeah. And my other co-defendant, he took his and ran. So it's just me. And they like, yo, the government don't want a deal. They trying to get you life. They trying to get you the L. So if I can beg for 20 years for you, would it take it? I'm looking at him like, hell no. We gonna roll the dice, son. 20 years is life to me. I'm 30-something years old, bro. I'm not gonna stay in here for no 20 years. Let's see what they got. So now, I'm fighting my case. I'm going to my lawyer office and I'm getting to see the discovery. Mountains and mountains of fucking casework and wiretaps and shit like this. And I stay in his office doing my case every weekend. Up until I get down to nothing, little or no pages left and a wiretap recorder with just 12 or 13 seconds of a phone call. That's all they had. That's all they had, 12 to 14 minutes of conversation. I'm in less than 3 minutes of somebody trying to set me up. And I said to my lawyer, this is all they got? Then we going to trial, man. And I end up going to trial, man, and beating it. They knew they had the right guy, but they had the wrong time. I gave up. I quit. So that gap in when I quit and left was when the investigation started. I was nowhere in that shit. So the judge was like, yo, you know, I can't send him to jail. It clearly shows that he's not even a part of this shit. And I ended up getting out of that. But I always say, you know, Jay could have harmed me if he would have came. If I would have got help from Jay and he would have paid for some high-class lawyers and shit to come in there, the jury would have probably looked at me in a different way. So it could have hurt me. You know what I'm saying? So I try to have a different perspective with things. You know what I'm saying? It ain't like I'm trying to make excuses for a nigga, but I look at it like, yo, if I'd have came in there with some high-class attorneys, they probably would have thought I was that big dude, drug dealer dude, woo. And it probably would have hurt me. So I use that, man, that perspective to just like, all right, cool. I did it myself and it worked the right way.
How long did it take you to beat this case? How long were you going through this?
What's crazy is I stayed out a year on bail, on home monitor, and after a year, they came with new papers, a new indictment, added new people on my shit. Yo, I'm like, they call it a supersede. They superseded my indictment and added more niggas on my shit. And I'm like, yo, this is really reckless now. That just let me know they reaching for anything now. Because I don't know none of these people they put on here. And next thing you know, that shit ain't work neither. So give or take, I fought that for about 2 years. But I stayed out on the street for a year and a half on that shit.
So around 2000, 2001, you get done fighting all your cases?
Yeah. Yeah.
And at this point, I mean, Jay-Z is like, you know, the biggest thing in the country at the time.
Yeah. It was crazy. Yeah, the biggest thing in the country at this point.
And what are you doing with your life at this time?
At this time, I'm like, fuck it. You know what I'm saying? I got to move on past these guys and shit. And at this point in time, 2000, when I got locked up, I get locked up again. I catch a case in 2000, and I go in to serve 5-year sentence into something like 2001. So I do 5 years. So I come home 07. I come home right at the beginning of 07. And I'm trying to get my life together, and that shit just going downhill. That shit is going downhill, downhill, downhill. And as I'm going downhill, it's more and more J shit. It's more and more J shit. And mind you, he been sending records in between there. Between 01, 02, 03, there's records where he's still talking to me on the street, you know. But my life is going downhill. I'm not fucking, I can't get ahead. I can't catch a break. And I find myself blaming Jay and them. I find myself blaming Emery and them. I can't get no money. I'm blaming them. That's the reason why I went all the way down a dark hole with that shit. You know what I'm saying? And I went down so far, and this is one of the stories I tell in person when I'm on stage doing the screening. I went down this dark hole so far, and my well was so dry, and I had to get on my knees again, ask God to, because Jay was, that situation was in my head. And I was like, at a point where I hate them niggas. I hate them. And you're not gonna get no blessings with that in your system. You understand what I'm saying? So I asked God, yo, can you remove this shit out of me? You know what I'm saying? I see him on billboards, music in my ear, people talking. So I say, God, you know, can you remove this from me? And this is where I learned about being Pacific when you asking God for shit. You gotta give him detail what you want, because if he give it to you, you ain't gonna understand till later. And so I say, God, yo, get this from me. And if you can remove this from me, I'll be better. So what happens? I get a girl pregnant, and I got a boy coming, a kid. Can't be thinking, that right there shows it, like, nigga, here you go, take this. This will take your mind off of these dudes for sure. And right then and there, once that came about, I started really forgiveness. Started forgiving these dudes. And as I started forgiving more and more, and paying attention to life and my son more and more doors start opening up. More doors start opening up. And I end up going to school, end up going to college, graduating, becoming a master carpenter, and, you know, making money. So I'm like, yeah, God, this is a blessing. Now, my next thing I want to do is do a documentary about my life. Let's clear all of this up. You know what I'm saying? Let's do a documentary about my life. And these opportunities just start opening up. And here I am. I've done my documentary. I'm on Amazon. We got 5 stars. We rated at 5 stars now. And that's just what my story is about. It's about forgiveness. Like, if you holding any larceny or hate in your heart for someone because they done you wrong, that shit, you're not going to get to another level until you be able to let that go. You know what I'm saying? And I understood now I used to get millions of comments of, yo, let it go, let it go, let it go. It seemed hard for you to do that when your mother not involved. If your mother, like, I used to wake my mom up 3 a.m, look, Jay got to go to hospital. You know what I'm saying? Yo, and she get up out her bed and go take it. This is shit that his mom don't know. You know what I'm saying? So when you tell me to let it go, I'm like, yo, bro, you don't even understand the sacrifices I made. The sacrifices my family made. You know what I'm saying? So it's easy for an outsider to be like, man, just let it go. That shit happen every time, all day, every day. Yeah, it does. But it's about how you handle it. Because some people, you look at some of my comments, some people be like, man, it wouldn't be no Jay-Z. Fuck that. You know what I'm saying? He was disrespectful and rude to your earth, to your mom. Like, if anything, this is a woman that took care of him too. So everybody not going to handle it the same. You know? So I just look at it like, yo, you know what? I just been blessed on just being able to forgive them. You know what I'm saying? And not just Jay. Like I said, I went out my way for all of those guys. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like it's a conspiracy against me. Because not one of them people, not one of those persons I named came to me and ever asked me, was I okay? Did I need anything? So right then and there, like, it's just about surviving betrayal and hurt. And how you could come back off of that shit without violence. How do we solve some things without violence? And that's just what I'm on, just telling my story. And it ain't got nothing to do with violence, or I don't have no hatred towards them. You know, say he telling the story in the records. I just tell the story, you know, in my interviews and on my series.
You mentioned Jay-Z has talked about you in some songs. I've heard you in quite a few songs. I mean, from Reasonable Doubt to, you know, it even sounds like he talks about you in the album he did with R. Kelly.
Yeah.
I forget the name of the song.
Personal.
It ain't personal?
It ain't personal, yeah.
That's it? It sounds like he's talking about you then. I know in
the Black Album.
The Black Album, he's like, Dehaven introduced me to the game.
Where's Family First on? That's the last one.
Well then, you know, an American Gangster.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's like 5 songs on there, yo. It's like 5 songs on there, yeah.
I mean, it's just kind of crazy that, you know, he would talk about you so much, so, you know, like, he still, like, thinks about you. If you weren't important to him,
right,
he would not be mentioning you in any songs.
Right. Right. Yeah. And that's what's odd about what's the holdup of us really having a decent conversation. You know what I'm saying? Like, why keep doing this? Unless it's, you know, I don't know, it's something, like I said, with that last statement that he made off of Drake, let me know that it's still unfinished conversation that need to be held. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't see how you can still have that in you. And we not them same people no more. You know what I'm saying? We all grown up past this now. And a lot of people say, yo, I wish that could happen for the streets and the culture that you two sit down. And it ain't me. And I tell them, it ain't me. You know what I'm saying? I'm as just as humble as I'm gonna get. I ain't in the business of kissing no ass for nobody to sit down and talk to me. I'm not looking for that at all. But, I mean, what's the hold up, man, to get past some of this stuff? Because what he said on the Drake album, I don't agree to it. You know what I'm saying? He made it seem like I still chill with a person that wanted to bring harm to him. And I was thinking about that earlier, like, who did he see? I said something to a fact, he still be with somebody that didn't give a fuck about me neither. You know what I'm saying? So we kind of like just, it's about having a conversation, bro. Plain and simple, it's just about having a conversation. And it be they egos and shit that be on the line, you know what I mean? And that's just it.
Yeah, in the Drake song, he accuses you of hanging around people who tried to kill him.
Yeah.
How did you feel when you first heard that?
I was happy about the response itself, that, you know, that he responded and let people know that we still having this thing, you know. It helped me with marketing. Like my whole value went up again, because people didn't know and they wanted to know. And it let me know that, like I said, it's still, I always knew that he was human and he listened and looked at what's going on. It's naturally, like we was brothers. You think he don't check on what I'm doing? That's just don't seem right. So it was a good look, man. It was a start to me. It was a good look, man. But, you know, to let me know that he's still confused and he's still letting that hold up against us.
So do you believe that was the main reason for him not helping you during your case?
Now, yo, really, I can't explain on why he didn't help me for that, yo. That shit drove me out my mind trying to figure out that, bro. That shit drove me out of my mind trying to figure out how the fuck could he leave me here. You know what I'm saying? Trying to make excuses, trying to figure it out, trying to say what. And I think this is what they avoid. When they don't have an answer for certain shit, like they don't even want to be in the situation to get asked. I'm not looking for that. You know what I'm saying? Because I know we all do shit that that you can look back and be like, yo, I don't know what I was thinking. You know what I'm saying? Or it could be something to a fact that, yo, I just couldn't do it. It wasn't a good look for me. But don't walk around like you too fucking high to give that you don't owe anybody no excuse. You don't owe nobody a conversation. That's the fucked up thing right there. You know what I'm saying? To leave a nigga standing like that, to be like, yo, bro. You know what I mean? If I sit there and tell me, yo, Cam, if Cam tell me, yo, come get me out of jail, you know, I can bail out tomorrow. And I say, yo, I'll be there tomorrow. And I don't come there tomorrow and somebody else get you, what you gonna say to me when you see me in the club the following week after that? You gonna look at me and be like, yo, bro, like, you looking for an explanation of why I ain't show up? Especially when you counted on me. You get what I'm saying? So that's what's fucked up. You know what I'm saying? That a nigga could walk around and be like, yo, I don't owe you no explanation.
Another song that sounded like he was talking about you was "It Was All Good Just a Week Ago."
Oh yeah, that's everybody's song. I mean, most people think that that's target towards me, but that's everybody's life, man. I've been up on this level, and then a week later I could be on this level, and then a week, that's everybody's life. So, you know, when he said that, a lot of people thought it was just target towards me, and I'm like, it could be, but he speaks so subliminal, it fits into everybody's life. You know what I'm saying? That 5,000 I had last week, I ain't got it now. It was all good a week ago, though, you know what I'm saying? So that's everybody's life, you know what I'm saying? You know, he just got a crafty way of putting shit, you know what I mean? And it fits my life too. It fit Dame Dash life. I'm quite sure it fit Jazzo life. I'm quite sure it fit Source Money life. It was all good a couple of months ago, a week ago, 2 hours ago.
Is there anybody within Jay-Z's camp you're still cool with? Like, I think him and Jazzo are now friends again.
Yo, bro, like, it's odd. Like I said, you'll kill yourself trying to figure it out, but none of them niggas holler at me. I don't have a relationship with none of them. And I just told you, it ain't nobody over there that I ain't do nothing for. I done something for everybody over there. It's not one person that I have contact with.
When you first came out with your YouTube video, I think it was 2008.
Uh-huh.
I remember seeing it, but it was so long ago, I don't really remember. But you caught a lot of backlash for it.
Yeah, good backlash, but it was a lot of, viral backlash. The shit went viral. You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody was seeing numbers like that back then. But this dude was at his high, man, and nobody wanted to believe me. They told me I was the disgruntled employee. I've been called everything, you know what I mean? But that's just because people wasn't aware of who I was, and they didn't want me to be who I was. So, but that came right on time for me.
When you put that out and you got the response to it, were you like, man, like kind of shocked that it blew up so big?
Yeah, I was shocked, man. But honestly, man, I was running around energized off of feelings and emotions, bro. It was really, if I would have been thinking of more business level, like I would have had some product, I would have had a book, I would have had something to sell back then. You know what I'm saying? But that's how I tell people, yo, that was done out of strictly emotions and feelings. Because I wasn't ready for what came. All of that started, like people was getting at me. That shit was 24 hours a day for weeks on top of weeks. But I just didn't know how to deal with it. You know what I'm saying? Business-wise. So, but the world recognized me. You know what I'm saying? And when he responded, it gave the world, it let the world know that it was a Dehaven, that exists. Because meanwhile, he was just saying names and people didn't understand, just blew over their head. But when he said, fuck Dehaven, they really knew that, okay, there's somebody that exists. You know what I'm saying? That was one of the biggest marketing joints I have seen, when he did that.
So when he kind of he dissed you on the record, accused you of cooperating on No Hook, what was your reaction like when you first heard that? What were you thinking?
That he's mad. That he's really angry about something I done, something I said. Any type of way he put out something like that. Even though it was subliminal and he wasn't really talking about no real like snitching in the police. He wasn't talking about that. But he led the people to believe it was about some snitching shit. It didn't bother me too much because like the streets knew. I was just coming home from prison. The prison, I'm heavy they know me in the prison system. Like, even though I ain't done a lot of time, they know me because I know a lot of people in the system. But they knew that I was official, they knew that shit was a host, so I ain't get as much. But people that didn't know, yeah, I got death threats, I got, you know what I'm saying? But I just missed past that shit.
Did that come out after you put your video out of, like, Jay-Z Exposed?
Yeah. American Gangster? Yeah, that came up after, yeah.
So that was like his response.
That was his response. Yeah.
Jay-Z Exposed.
Yeah.
Okay, so you don't think like he meant that in the literal sense? He was just kind of trying to destroy your credibility?
Yeah. I mean, that's coming up off that YouTube where I just was like, I said some things about his mom and his family enough to make him mad to come back and say that. That's why I was like, all right, I get why he coming so hard. But you gotta understand, like, I felt like you don't respect my parents, you don't respect my mom, so why should I respect yours? You know what I'm saying? And they shouldn't be involved, but even though they was best friends, you know what I'm saying, I should have never been mentioning his mom or whatever. So I see that he, the anger when he came back. It is what it is. I wasn't, that mad though.
Man, I think we covered about everything, man.
Yeah.
Is there any just, stories you could share with us? From you and Jay-Z?
We had so many shit, I don't know where. Yo, man, when it comes to, all right, okay, cool. The Foxy Brown, I'll leave you with this one. The Foxy Brown and shit, video shoot. So I was staying in Delaware. Jay was doing that first Foxy Brown video shoot with Drew Hill. That's the Drew Hill song in the background, right? All right. So I stopped in Delaware, right? I pick up this bad chick. I'm talking about fucking exotic chick, right? Like, I'm bragging. I'm like, yo, I'm taking her with me to this Jay shoot. Because I don't really fuck with the videos. I never was with that shit. But he told me this time, yo, come up to the video shoot. I'm doing this with Foxy Brown. There's going to be celebs there. Come through. I said, all right, I'm going to get me I got me a fucking exotic one for his ass. Check this shit out. Right? So we drive up to the video shoot, right? And I go in there. And I'm like, we peep, I go in there, shorty get out, she tough. So I walk around, I got all my shit on, jury heavy. And I walk to the back and then I go find Jay and Jay come out and shit. He like, hold on, give me a second. He's like, give me a second and shit, I'll be right with you. So me and my shorty, we casing the joint and shit, right? So they said it was drinks on the second floor, so we gonna go up to the second floor. I'm gonna wait on Jay. Me and Shorty going up to the second floor. I'm trying to show her. So when we get on the elevator, she gets on, I get on, Vivica Fox get on behind me, and Chris Webber get on, like, yo, and then two more chicks get on the elevator. Like, the elevator is like tight, and we all on the elevator, and I'm looking at Vivica like, God damn. And Chris Webber looking at mine like, God damn, shit, like, like this is a staring contest and shit. Like, yo, I'm like, nigga, you can have her, I'll take her, you know, all of this shit. So we go and we drink and shit. I see how my shorty is drooling over Chris Webber and shit. Like, that was a total loss for me. She would have been gone if I'd have turned my head. So we get our drinks, we go back downstairs, and I see Jay, and I'm like, yeah, Jay, you know what I'm saying? I said, what's up? What you think? He said, yo, shorty tough, bro. You know what I mean? That's what's up. He said, well, come on, let's go upstairs. Let me show you something. We go upstairs and shit. So we get on the elevator, go upstairs. We get off on that third floor, man. Man, Jay had about 40 models up that bitch, son. He had about 40 of them that looked better than my bitches that I had up there. And I'm in there like, he like, so what you think about this and shit? Yo, there's about 40 models up there, man. Some of the baddest exotic bitches I ever seen, man. I was like, yo, you know what? You got that one, bro. You got that one. So he was like, yeah, but shorty bad. But shorty bad, though. She could mess with them and shit. But I thought that was like the bangingest time because we used to always compare chicks and shit. You know what I'm saying? And I bring one around. He'd be like, oh, yeah, she bad. And I see him, and he'd be like, yo, she's bad. But, yeah, that's one of the times. And another time I brought one around. She had a missing front tooth, right? But she still was a dime, yo. And I remember Jay going, I introduced her to Jay, and Jay come back, he say, yo, she missing a tooth, bro. But she is bad, though. She is bad, though. Yo, we used to just have fun, man, fucking around with these girls and, you know, just spending money, balling out, bro. Every week in Atlantic City, yo, like we had a good life. Like that shit you see him doing and having, and we was doing that shit before the cameras and lights and action, bro. We already was doing it. You know what I'm saying? And I done it solo. When he went off and started doing it into the music, I was doing that in DC, Philly, North Carolina, all of that. I was spreading wings. So this shit is nothing new for us. We've been doing that shit. So that was just one of the best stories, man. I thought was cool and shit. You know?
Man, that's what's up, man. Man, your story was dope, man. I know the fans are gonna love it.
Man, I hope so, man. I appreciate it, man. And they take a look at that documentary, man, and see, you know, the details of what we went through and shit. Look forward to that Marcy May series. We already started shooting on that, man. Just to see Reasonable Doubt on film, just thinking about it. You know what I'm saying? To see that shit on film, bro, is gonna be epic. You know what I mean? And Cam, I appreciate you for having me on your platform, bro. I mean, I seen who you had on here before, so I'm kind of honored to be in among some of them, you know, some of the platforms that you've been serving, man. So I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, man, definitely, man. You know, man, your story's dope.
Man, I appreciate it.
It's you know, I man, I appreciate it, man. You know
All right.
Appreciate your time also.
Man, anytime, man. I'd be honored, man. If I'm ever out there, man, we do that shit one-on-one. We do some shit in person.
Okay, for sure, yeah, man. If we can do it in person, I'm with that too.
All right, Cam, I appreciate it. Yo, I'll hit you up later and we talk.
All right, bro, sounds good.
All right.